What's up, everybody, and welcome in to the Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood podcast. I'm Jay Hood, and that's my crazy cousin Wiley. Still has the bag on his head. If you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com, go to Jay Hood Radio. You can see cousin Wiley still embarrassed because the Bears are 0-4. Cuzzo, you still got the bag on, but there's like a little something extra to the bag. Tell us about it.
Cuzzo, yesterday I was just minding my own business,
Yes.
trying to enjoy my Sunday watching football,
Yes.
and I got my ass whooped by Sierra's husband.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Yes, he has a band-aid on the side of his bag there because yes, the Denver Broncos did get the job done defeating the Bears 31-28. We want you to be able to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Also on YouTube as well. Let people know Cousin Wiley and Jay Hood are talking sports. And also, if you are watching, we have our link tree up, linktree.com/JHoodRadio. That's where you get podcasts and merchandise as well. Of course, Cuzzo, you have one of the merchandise right there. You have the Under the Hood t-shirt to your right, if your bag will allow. Yes. We got the Under the Hood t-shirts. We've got mugs. We've got tumblers. And we've got so many items. So represent your favorite podcast. It's Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, and it's available now. And we've got, by the way, $15 off all items. There's some stuff there that's $5 and $10 that people don't even know yet. But again, $15 off. It's kind of our summer to fall sale for Under the Hood. Check it out right there to get your favorite t-shirt, Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, as we talk about the podcast. All right. Make sure you share this because it's going to be hot. Wiley and I are very disappointed in the Chicago Bears, 0-4. I know that there's always optimism going into every season, Cuzzo, but the point is, though, is that you're going in the wrong direction. You are up 28-7 against the worst defense we thought in the National Football League, coming off of losing by 50 to Miami. And then somehow, some way, Denver comes back in the ball game, and the Bears end up losing that ball game 31-28. You're going to lose games, but you can't lose like that. And that falls at the feet at the coaching staff. I like to spread it around, the blame, but the coaching staff is really over their heads right now.
So I'm with you on spreading it around. I'm going to abandon the bag early today.
Oh, wow. Must be warm in there.
Like, it's the anger is just,
yeah.
Gotta let it vent. Vent a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I will definitely agree with you in general, spreading the blame around. Yesterday, I think the blame primarily lays at the feet of Matt Eberflus. I heard you talk to him this morning. Yep. Breaking news. Chase Claypool will not be in the building this week. I watched his press conference later today, and it's clear to me the guy is in over his head. Like, I watched his press conference today, and he looked like a hostage. He was so nervous. He finally got the story right. So we finally know what happened with Chase Claypool, finally. But you had it right from the beginning, Cuzzo. You said that there was a guy who wasn't going to be around whenever the stadium was built. How did you see that? Like, what was it about him that told you, like, hey, this guy will not be here beyond a year or two, or maybe 3?
Talent. That's what it comes down to, because Ryan Poles comes in as a general manager, and he said early in his tenure with the Bears as general manager, he said, I want to build this thing the right way. As soon as he said that, I knew the veterans are going to be traded off and sold off. Because he wants to be able to redo this thing. He's thinking to himself, okay, so all these veterans on this team and the Bears can't win. So why don't we just redo this thing? That's a hard sell, by the way, to tell George McCaskey on the other side of the desk. So what do you see for our Chicago Bears? Well, I see that we need to be able to get younger and be able to have an identity. And we can't do it with these veterans. And so when he brought in Matt Eberflus, here's why I knew that Eberflus was never going to be the guy. I knew he was never going to be the guy because he was pretty much hired by Bill Polian. That's why. You don't do it ass backwards, Cuzzo. You don't do the head coach and then the general manager, because that's how it went.
Shotgun marriage.
Polian came in from the outside. And why did he pick Eberflus? Because Polian's an Indianapolis guy. And Eberflus is an Indianapolis guy. And so that was the decision. And George said, well, that must be the right guy because Polian said so, right? Bullshit. Right? That's exactly what happened. And so that's why I knew Polian's choice. You hire the coach before the GM. This is not the GM's choice.
Right.
Like you mentioned, this is a gunshot wedding here. So this is what it was. And so that's when I knew. I'm like, defensive coordinator, you're trying to cultivate Justin Fields as an off. It's not going to work. That guy, Matt Eberflus, nice guy, more than likely fired at the end of the season because it's not going in the right direction. That's why I knew Eberflus was never going to be the guy because it wasn't Poles' guy. Justin isn't Poles' guy. Because, again, head coach first, then the GM. That's not how you do business in the NFL.
Yeah. But even with it being a shotgun wedding, and you know that you're getting the opportunity that you wouldn't otherwise get, he's so incompetent. Like, I was willing to give him a pass for a while because I recognized there was no talent on the team, and it's hard to judge a man ask him to run his defense without the players that he needs to run it. But you see him after just feeling any media pressure after week 1, and he immediately folds. Like, he's panics. And you have a man who was clueless about what's going on inside his locker room. He has to put out 3-4 stories and then finally get one right. Like, okay, you know what? I finally got the Chase Claypool story right. Here's what it is. Cuzzo, he didn't have the balls to call the man and say, hey, to tell the man face to face, like, hey, Chase Claypool, we're going to make you inactive on Sunday. We don't want you in the building for the next couple weeks. He called him. Like, how fucking cowardly is that? You have to call this man and say, hey, you know what? Here's what's happening. And you still can't get that right.
Yeah, because it's his first time being a head coach and someone that's an authority, not just the head coach of your defensive room. As a defensive coordinator, you are a head coach for all 53 men, and he has to learn how to be able to do that. But unfortunately, his tenure will come to an end pretty soon. But this is quite the learning situation for Eberflus.
Will he be there for? Will you guys have him on Friday? Or was this happen on Monday?
On Cap and J Hood on ESPN 1000, for those that don't know, that's watching on YouTube. Yeah, I'm on weekdays from 7 to 10 a.m. Central Time, and Matt Eberflus is on with us every Monday. I believe that he will be with us Friday after the Washington game. So we get Eberflus twice.
Do you think you'll get him after the next game? Do you think he'll be there for the next game?
Yeah, I do. You got to get that number 1 pick somehow, and he's the right coach for it. He just is. I mean, look at it like this, Cuzzo. So when Ryan Poles says we want to build this the right way, and he's like, oh, he's the head coach, and I don't get a chance to pick my coach, that's weird because that's not what we did in Kansas City. I'm sure that Poles is saying to himself, okay, prove it. You're the head coach. See what you can do. I'm not going to give you a lot of talent to work with, but see what you can do. See if you can instill a culture. And so because of Justin's comments a few weeks ago, and now there's Claypool this past Friday saying that, and Courtney Cronin from ESPN did a great job of asking the question, do you feel like you're being utilized correctly? He told the truth. He's like, no. That's what got his ass canned.
Yes.
That's why Claypool did not play on Sunday. But again, there's a lot of inactive players that are on the sidelines or up in the suites, and they gave Claypool a chance. They were pissed off that Claypool, he went off the reservation and said they need to utilize me more. That's all. It is the truth, but it's like when I think of Chase Claypool, I'm thinking about 7 or 8 other weapons offensively before I even get to him. Seriously. If you cannot play for Mike Tomlin, then who can you play for? Like, Tomlin says you're out. So he is the ultimate player's coach. He's gruff. He's direct. He tells you what's on his mind. But somehow you couldn't play for him, so now he's up with the Bears. So, like,
I don't know. Like, I know that it is a narrative for why Chase Claypool was with the Bears. I don't think Chase Claypool was traded last year if the Steelers are still in the playoff contention around trade deadline. They were so far out of it, it was like, okay, well, we're not going to keep you longer because we just played Deontay Johnson. We just gave him over $100 million. So we're not going to pay 2 wide receivers. So we can't extend you. But you still have value. So there's a market where you have the Packers willing to trade a second and fourth for you. You have the Patriots was in for like a 3rd round pick. And the Bears gave up the first, 2nd round pick. So I think he was more looking at like value. Okay, we're not going to pay you, which tells me you're not going to be here. The league still sees you as a valuable player. Let's unload you now since we're not going to win this year anyway, and get something in return we can use to retool going forward. And they did that. They got Joey Porter Jr. and they strengthened their defense. But I personally believe that if not because of their record at the trade deadline last year, he is still with the Steelers organization.
Because he was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, he is. Oh, he's a diva. Like obviously all receivers are divas, but he's like next level of diva, and his production doesn't match. His level of diva-ness. So if you had like a Stephon Diggs, who is also a diva, like Buffalo sent him home this summer for being a diva, but he's a great player. So you will tolerate him being a diva because he's a great player. You'll tolerate Jamar Chase being a diva because he's also a great player. But when you're just a good player, it's hard to tolerate that level of assholeness when you're just a good player. And coming to the Bears, I'll be honest with you, I'm in a contract year, and I know there's probably no chance I'm going to get the ball. I'm going to force my way out.
Well, not in the contract year, though. That's where you're supposed to be on your best behavior and say yes, sir, no, sir.
But
listen.
That's only if you're a bottom of the roster player, it's yes, sir, no, sir. When you think that you're still a productive player in the league, you want to go somewhere to prove, like, hey, I can still be productive. Pick me up. It won't cost you much to pick me up. I can still be productive, and go about that way. He's done that. This year, he's like, he knew the answer to the question. He's not an idiot. He's a Notre Dame grad.
Yes,
he did Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You know better than answering the question of no, they're not using me properly. To answer something along, we all have our roles. I have my role. We're still trying to figure it out. Yada 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 yada. Give the media bullshit. He's like, he pauses. It was kind of like Justin Fields was the week before. Yeah. Fields came up with a plan. Claypool paused. He had his plan of, you know what? I know what I shouldn't say. Fuck it. Here you go.
That's fine. That's fine. But other general managers will look at that and say, so what's your problem? So you could not last with Pittsburgh and could not play with Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
And then you go to the Bears and you're not utilized. So on a bad football team, you can't get targets. This is before DJ Moore got there. We're talking about with like Mooney and Komet, St. Brown, guys like that. You couldn't get touches. And so now you're with this team. And as I mentioned, look at this roster. And I know the Bears are winless. And the Bears have not won a game since last October. We're going to celebrate the anniversary pretty soon here.
Right.
The Bears' last win. They keep going in this direction. A year since they won a football game. But you tell me, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Darnell Mooney, St. Brown, who had a terrific catch on Sunday, he's been inactive for 3 weeks, and he was like, you know what, I'm getting mine, and he made a spectacular catch to help the team. As long with the running backs with Herbert and along with Tyler Scott, another wide receiver, like Claypool just wasn't going to get touches. He just wasn't. Like, I know he thinks he deserves it, but there's other better players on this roster. And so here's what happened for those that missed it this morning. So as I mentioned, we have Matt Eberflus on the Cap and J Hood Morning Show on ESPN 1000. And we already had our plan of attack. Like, okay, they lost the game. Why'd you lose the game? Why the hell did you do a shotgun when you just need a half yard or a yard? Why'd you go shotgun? Why didn't you just kick the field goal to go up 31-28 with 1:47 left in the ball game? Why didn't you use Blasingame, the fullback, to get an extra yard? Whatever. We talked about that. But the Claypool thing we had to talk about this morning because of the confusion that he put out there on Sunday, where it's just like, I can't hear you. What are you saying? What's that? Now you can't hear. Now you can't understand what the media is saying, right? Like, what's that? No, we sent him home. No, he wanted to stay home. No, he didn't. And so that's why the clarification had to happen this morning. Please clear it up. What's going on with Claypool? And I pressed him. Because he tries to go around my questions or give me short answers.
Or his phone goes out.
Yeah, like you can't just go around my questions like that and ignore me, right? If I'm asking you a direct question, Chase Claypool, for someone that's about the hits principle and culture, does he represent your culture? And he tried to go around it, right? And I asked him again, and then Cap follows up, will he be active Thursday? And that's when the dam broke. Like, no, you know what? He won't be in the building this week. I'll give you that. I'm like, now you got something there.
Right.
He goes, well, he's not going to be. So I said to myself, Chase Claypool is no longer going to be a Bear, and that'll be all for that. Like, seriously, I'd be surprised if he's in a Bears uniform. But ultimately, just to put a bow on it, just from my standpoint, it's so small to me. It's small because he's not really an impact player.
He definitely hasn't been since he's been here. Like, he hasn't been an impact player since his rookie year. But the narrative has been somehow like remove Chase Claypool, all is wrong with the Bears somehow improves. It doesn't. Like that really isn't the case. Like, you have a coach who's in over his head. You have a quarterback who I have no clue what goes on with him most of the time, but like he's definitely talented. But there's some deficiencies that you're still trying to work through. You have a defense that has virtually no talent. Definitely in the front, there's no talent in the front floor. And then you have a secondary that's depleted. So you're working with Edmonds and Edwards.
Those guys are solid. Sanborn showed up. All three linebackers gave you something Sunday.
Yeah, but that was it. You still no pressure from the front floor. So there really is no front four. So you're asking a secondary who Eberflus theoretically is supposed to coach up and prepare for the games to get stops, and they can't.
I don't have the stat in front of me because of it. Something along the lines of the Bears have surrendered 25 points or more.
Yeah,
14 times.
It's not really accurate though, because even this game it wouldn't be accurate. Because
the score is the score. What do you got?
No, but they're counting like
hold on a second. 25 or more points. I think 17 times, which is an NFL record. You can't do that in this league.
But they're counting the pick sixes in the scoop fumbles.
Those are still scores.
I know, but when you hear the Bears have given up, I think defense has given up. When in reality, the defense hasn't given up all those points.
All right, I'll massage your shoulders.
Okay.
The Bears have given up 25 or more points.
Yeah.
However the hell it happens, they've given up 25 or more points, something like 17 times in a row or something like that, which is an NFL record. That is the word. So
breaking records.
Whether it's Fields fumbling the football, whether it's the defense and its ineptitude, whatever it is, the Bears have given up that many points. However it happens, it's still unacceptable. You can't have that.
Records. But we were texting we have our little group text during the game, so we're texting. Like, there's a roller coaster of emotions because we're excited. Like, at the beginning of the game, like, hey, Fields is having an amazing game. This is the best I've seen. Like, I don't give a fuck about the opponent. This is what he's doing. I'm excited. And then about 15 minutes later, the wheels fall off.
It's Fields' best game that we've seen. He had 335 yards, 26 for 35. He had 4 touchdowns. But again, as Wanstead would tell you, if it wasn't for those 2 or 3 plays, we could have won the game, right? And that's exactly what it is, right? It's just like, and we used to laugh at that because it's post-Ditka, like, what does this clown know? What do you mean 2 or 3 plays? We used to make fun of that all the time. When I was producing shows and hosting shows, we were like, what is Wanstead talking about? But then the old man was sage. He actually had there was some bars right there when he said that. Like, it does come down to 2 or 3 plays. As great as Justin was, you cannot give the football up. He has no value of the football at all. You've got to be able. I know it's bang bang. It's easy for me to say this on my couch, but damn it, man! When there's a defender coming, you got to throw that football away. You don't let it. You don't give the football up for a pick six. You can't do that.
Hood, I saw the kid confidence building in the first 2.5 quarters. like as a fan, and obviously as a long time Justin Fields critic, I was excited. Like, hey, this is what I've been looking for. He's putting it together. Like the talent and production, they're meeting. So this is fine. This is great. Let's do this. And like one bad play, the first bad play he had was the grounding, intentional grounding, and you saw all the greatness that he had just started to leave from that point on. Like he started to feel kind of like people feel. He started to feel the pressure of the moment. Like we haven't won in 13 weeks. I've been getting criticized all season. I need to deliver a win. So intentional grounding hurt one drive, and he comes back, and that's
the last play. That's the last series. It's intentional grounding, then a short pass to Komet. Then on third down, that's when he throws the pick. It was intended for Komet. That was the ball game. That's what you're talking about, right? Late in the fourth.
No, so I'm wrong then. So you're right. You're absolutely right. That was the last series. So he has the fumble, which to me, like, just take the sack. Like, just take the sack. Live to play another day. Punt the ball. The defense gives up points. So be it. But live to play another day. Just take the sack. He's fumbled the ball good. I've lost a moment of time he's fumbled the ball. But the important stat is his fourth quarter turnovers. Like, even this season, he has 7 turnovers for the season. 5 of them are in the fourth quarter. You can't give the ball up in money time.
No.
In his entire career, he's turned the ball over. I know he's had a bunch of fumbles, but he's officially turned the ball over 33 times in his career. 33 times in his career. 15 of those 33 turnovers are in the fourth quarter. So that tells me that somehow when the game gets close and you start to feel the pressure, you don't treasure the ball the way you should. You're careless with the ball. You're playing hero ball. You want to be the guy who wins the game instead of just being a guy who makes the play, who makes simple plays to help your team win. You can't have that. And part of that is coaching as well, because coaching, someone has to say, hey, just make the simple play. Don't play hero ball. Make the simple play. We'll win the game. And that just hasn't happened. So I know you're from the couch, every Saturday, Friday night, watching college football. So I need your scouting eye. We may need a new quarterback. We may need a new receiver, some new receivers, new tight ends. Definitely a new coach. So is that coming from college or pros?
Depends on what kind of experience you want. If you're Ryan Poles, I don't know what kind of coach he likes. Like, it just seems to me that the way the Bears operate, that they'd want to bring Jim Harbaugh in. And because he's a former Bears quarterback and he works well with quarterbacks. Of course, the thing is like you just can't run the football a million times. I know he does that at Michigan. You got to be able to have some kind of passing game. I think the Harbaugh can be able to cultivate that. But then from there, like the way things are going, the Bears are going to have the number 1 and number 2 pick because Carolina's in the toilet. They're trying to rebuild too. So to me, it's funny, Lance Briggs was in studio with us and he, defensive Lance Briggs on the precipice of the Hall of Fame. You got to go defense in the first one. I was like, if they went defense in the first pick, everyone would be run out of town. You got to take Caleb Williams.
Yes.
If he wants to come out. I know he's making a lot of money at USC. But if he wants to come out, that's the number 1 pick because now Poles will have his quarterback in place. Justin Fields, I think it's pretty simple. If the Bears don't turn this around, which I don't think that they will, it's pretty simple. That 5th-year option, you can go. Or you can be the backup to whoever this kid is. That's
you
what's
have to trade him, right?
No,
you have to get something for him.
I think that people know what Justin Fields is, and I know what you're going to get. It's a 5th-year option. And if I'm the Bears, at this point in time, if the offense keeps going this way and Justin keeps going this way, they will not exercise that option.
But Trey Lance just got traded for a 4th. I think we both can say Justin Fields is better than Trey Lance. From what we've seen, he's better than Trey Lance. So at minimum, you should get a 4th-round pick for him, possibly a 3rd or a low 2nd if someone really fell in love with him.
Does Brother Poles know what he's doing? He brought in Chase Claypool too, didn't he?
So like I feel differently about Poles. Like I'm a Poles fan because I saw what the roster looked like before he arrived. We had old talent or virtually no talent. It was an old roster. Ryan Pace had given up all the draft capital. We were in cap hell, and within 18 months, he's gotten us out of cap hell. We have a younger roster, but it has talent on there, and we have draft capital. So we're positioned to do something. If Fields turns it around, let's say Fields turns it around this year, we're probably still getting 2 top 10 picks. You still have your Marvin Harrison Jr. You have an option of maybe another tackle if you want to move Braxton Jones inside because you can't trust Tevin Jenkins, or you can go with Bowers. So you can have a roster of Justin Fields, DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison, and you a tight end room of Kmet and Bowers.
Shout out to my Georgia program. Bowers is that dude.
Yes,
he is that dude. He's a Georgia product. You can't be surprised at that. A SEC product and a Georgia product. You can't be surprised, cuzzo, that Bowers is that dude. Absolutely, for my team, 2-time national champions.
He would be the Bears' best tight end right now.
But what about Cole Kmet? You just took care of Kmet. What about him?
I mean, he's still around, but like, let's be honest. Like, if you've seen any of those videos of the quarterback gurus, they're always shitty on him, like constantly. Like, he's never in the right spot. I have no idea what 85 is doing. Like, he's too slow. He missed that block. Does he know which route he was running? He had stone hands up until last season when he caught a few red zone touchdowns. Mm-hmm. And he parlayed that into a $50 million contract. That was probably the worst decision Ryan Poles has made since he's been GM. And I know you're probably thinking of Chase Claypool giving up a second for him. But at that time, the Bears were drafted in the middle of the second round. That pick wasn't as great when they traded it. It became great because they sucked after they acquired him. Cole Kmet is not a $50 million player at all.
I'm just trying to figure out, polls. And again, it's still early. You might be a fan, but you still need to see a couple of drafts here.
I do.
I do. Kind of look, he had the number 1 pick, and he parlayed that into DJ Moore. That's still not bad.
No.
But again, who gets him the football? Like, I got no problem with DJ Moore being on this team. And I also have no problem with him being frustrated because he's like, I thought we were supposed to turn the corner here. Like, I could have stayed in Carolina and suffered, right? At least the weather would be warmer. Like, I mean, seriously. I mean, this is what it is. But I just look at this game, though, and, like, once again, I think about the Packer and Buccaneers game, in which those games, the Bears should have been able to win at least one of them. And again, what's the difference between 1 and 2 losses? I'm just saying you got to be able to win some games. And I just look at this game yesterday, and it's like everything went well. You know why everything went well offensively for, I think, 2.5 quarters is because the Broncos' defense is as bad as the Bears, or worse. Yes. So, as we're watching the ebb and flow of the game, we're like, wow, look at that wide open terrain, wide open for Kmet, wide open for, because the defense, their secondary for the Broncos is terrible. I have a source with the Broncos organization I talked to last week, and I asked him, I was like, so y'all got beat by 50. What's up? He goes, Russ is fine. He goes, Russ is conforming to what Sean Payton wants and what he needs. He said, our defense is historically terrible. And this is not.
What happened? What happened to Dan Joseph's defense? Like, they were great, and now they suck.
Poor Vance, poor Brother Johnson. It won't be long because you can't keep going like that. Like can't. You think the Bears were bad defensively, say against Kansas City? The reason why Justin was so comfortable is because even though he was rushed the most in his career, he was rushed 20 times. That's a stat. He was rushed 20 times, but it didn't seem like it watching the game, right?
It didn't.
Open in the pocket, comfortable, was in a lawn chair. It was like, here we go, a little Cole Kmet. Here's a little DJ Moore. Here's a little Darnell Mooney. Because there's no pass rush. But that shows you how bad it was. Because even as bad as that defense was for Denver, they still got him 4 times.
Yes.
They still got Fields 4 times. And they still was able to get a turnover and got a pick 6. So it's just kind of like, okay, so if you can't beat, and I want to make sure it's very clear on the record, Because this will be the worst defense that the Bears will take on all season. That's why this game should have been won by the Bears. So you lose the game against a bad defense, and look up and down. You can look at Carolina, the other teams that they're going to face. This is the worst defense they're going to face, and they still lost the game. And they were up 28-7. So this is who they are. This is who the Bears are right now. I'm looking down at a possible 0-5 against Chico and Washington coming up on Thursday.
I think if we get to Monday, and I know the Bears have never fired a coach in season, but if Washington puts the beating on the Bears like I expect, and Matt Eberflus is still the coach on Monday, I'm going to be really disappointed. Like, he should be gone. Like, you still have players who are going to be around next season. Your DJ Moores, your Edmonds, the rookie Wright. You have core players who will be here for the future. You can't have morale be that low in that building. You, as a leader, you have to do something new. And let's be honest, that I'm watching Matt Eberflus interview today. He wants to be put out of his misery. Like, he looks like a guy who wants to be taken out back, two to the head. That's it. Like, I'm done.
He's doing the best he can to try to be, and a nice man, Eberflus. He's just in over his head, because if there was some redeeming quality to Eberflus, say for instance, he's a head coach, but the defense is getting better, right? Then you have a reason to say, all right, you're losing games, but this defense is stout.
Right.
You're giving up big plays. You're giving up big plays to Baker Mayfield. You're giving up big plays to Jordan Love. Like, that dog won't hunt. You can't do that. You're like so. If you, as a defensive coordinator, now that you have the playbook, if your defense is still bad, your offense is not very good. It was good against the Broncos because they had wide open terrain to run and be able to pass the ball, and you still lose the game. You haven't won a game since last October. Then there's no reason to keep you around unless you just feel as a general manager, keep Eberflus in there. We're gonna get that number 1 pick. We'll have it solidified.
And he's not a leader.
But what's that
He's not a leader though either. So he has nice hair. I guess that's
really.
It's slicking it back. That doesn't work.
He's losing strands by the day. Being in this job.
He looks like a hostage out there, and no answers for anything. Like, what is your team going to do next week?
It's what it is.
Yeah, we have to have to check on that. Does he have to check with Ryan Poles for everything?
I thought that was very revealing on Monday when he said that Ryan Poles, he's in charge of the roster. Sometimes the head coach has 50%. I think Lovey had some autonomy over the roster when he was here, but he just said Ryan Poles has the full authority of the roster, so we'll see what happens. When he's talking about Claypool, so
yeah.
I think usually head coach has some say. I don't think this coach has any say of the roster.
But even if you don't have any say, you know what questions you want to get asked. So you should have answers prepared for those questions. And he comes out like his team, like his defense has come out unprepared. Like last year, I thought they played hard. I thought they were well coached because they seemed to be prepared every game. But in fairness, they did have a bunch of guys on one-year contracts. And when you're on one-year contract, you want to show as much on film as you can to get the next contract. And now you have guys who are on rookie deals or longer-term deals. They don't have that same hunger. So they're not willing to buy into everything if you're not a quality leader. And he's proven this year he's not a quality leader. So I see no reason to keep him around. Like, if he is still here after the Commanders game, I'll be disappointed if he's still here.
I will tell you something I was told today regarding the Bears. They're whatever you think of Matt Eberflus, clearly he's not the right guy. You can't keep losing games and still keep your job. The Bears are looking around that locker room and those coaching rooms, and they're saying, who should take this over? and they can't find anybody. Like unless it's someone from the outside. I mean, seriously. I mean, so you hand the playbook and everything to Luke Getzey, give him the keys? Absolutely not. This
Right.
guy's he's put the offense in reverse. Like that would be the obvious choice, right? All right, Getzey, finish it out for the rest of the season. It's kind of like, nah. They look around the room. It's like, who's got the experience to be the head coach of this football team?
What about Hightower?
I mean, special teams guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the concern. I'm not saying that they won't make a change, but they're looking around and they're saying, who can coach this team? I mean, Eberflus can barely coach this team, and he's ultimately a defensive coordinator who was not very good at Indianapolis.
No.
So it just, it is what it is. Cause I looked at this and a game in which Denver was able to come back in the ball game in the second half, and Russell Wilson looked good enough to be able to win that ball game. And he did. McLaughlin, their running back, was the most dynamic player that they had. He ran the football well. And Jerry Jeudy, a terrific wide receiver. But the thing is that the Bears beat themselves as much as the Broncos beat them on Sunday. They did, because of this, like half yard, you're gonna go for it in a shotgun. You don't take the points in that situation. The undisciplined nature of the Bears as far as penalties are concerned, especially late in the ball game, 2 or 3 penalties late down the stretch. It's like, dude, whatever you're selling, they're not buying.
No.
Your Eberflus. They are not. You can tell me all day about Hit's principle, and I'm sure he's saying the right things, but that dog don't hunt. They're just not. They're not gelling. There's talent on the roster. This is the difference between last year and this year, because there's talent.
Yes.
But I mean, it's not winning talent right now.
He doesn't believe it though either. So if I'm a player and I'm listening to my coach, and I can see that he's already panicked, he's essentially folded, and he's trying to tell me something that I can see he doesn't believe. How do I buy into that? How do I buy into something that I know my coach doesn't believe it at all? Like it doesn't make sense. And I guarantee the young players, the veteran players, they recognize, like, hey, this guy doesn't believe the shit he's saying. He doesn't believe this shit.
And it's a race to the bottom in the NFC North. Like Minnesota, and that's full of analytics, by the way. No guts, no heart, just whatever's on paper. This is where we're going to go. That's the general manager, Adolfo, and their head coach. Everything's analytics with them. Then we see on Thursday night the Lions against the Packers. And it's like the Lions, they don't care if they're in Lambeau or not. They went in there and they won the ball game. They
want to beat your ass.
Night. So, like, that's a real-ass team now, okay? So then the Packers are trying to figure out who they are. I mean, Jordan Love's fine, but again, he's not the genuine article yet. He's got to just keep playing and just keep plugging along. But the point is, though, is that while Detroit's solid, Green Bay finding out who they are, Minnesota is bad, and the Bears, grass is growing under the Bears' feet. While all this is happening, the Bears are just doing what the Bears do, and that's just losing, ineptitude, question marks in the front office, all that. And it shouldn't be that, because the frustrating part for me, Cuzzo, is that I thought we were going to get away from the drama, right? Just like, it's just, you lose games.
Yes.
But just the drama and the coach not knowing what to say and this whole thing with Claypool, that's the thing that pisses me off. You're going to lose games, but not like this. They should have been able to win 1 or 2 games by now, and it has not happened. And it's just solely aggravating to me, because it's like, you think I want to go in there every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and talk about how the Bears are trash? You think I want to do that? You think that helps? Let me make sure it's very clear to everybody. When the Bears win, Cubs win, Bulls win, Sox win, it puts money in this pocket. Right. Money that folds, not the money that jingles, as the reverends say. It's the money that folds to be able to go out and be able to talk about the Bears and say, okay, the Bears are on a roll. What can they do to keep their momentum going? That's the conversation. You think I want to roll in there on Monday and talk about how bad the Bears are again? Again? It's not. It is disappointing to me and the fans that we got to come on the radio every morning and talk about how shitty the Bears are. It's just it's really unfortunate they have not turned around yet.
What do you think? What do you think it'll take for it to turn around?
Well, it takes another draft, but then from there you have to be able to grow that talent. That's a new coaching staff. That's a new quarterback. That's a coach that understands offense. I know the theory is, oh, anybody could be the head coach. You just find the right offensive coordinator. Not necessarily. It's good to have the head coach understanding offense too. This whole thing where, hey, Belichick was this and Mike Tomlin was that, that's in the past. You want to have someone that understands the offense, understands how to get through to young people. Because this is going to be a young roster. Sprinkle with some veterans. You better find someone with some energy. Like, that could be Harbaugh. That could be the USC coach as well. That very well could be that. But just the whole thing is that you need energy in the building. You have to have that. And I said tongue in cheek this morning, it feels like a rebuild on top of the rebuild. Because you have a rebuild right now. If you have a new quarterback, that's a rebuild too. Who's going to coach him? That's the question. And so that's what will help turn it around, is to be able to find. And Poles will have another coach, by the way. For those that think that Poles going to he won't be fired. He'll get another coach. That's no question. But he's got to find the right coach and quarterback combination. His first one since being the general manager of the Bears, because this quarterback is and that head coach is not his. That's the previous.
The pattern still continues though, because we saw that with Ryan Pace and John Fox. Ryan Pace didn't hire John Fox.
No, again, you got to do that the right way. Why can't the Bears do what the NFL does? Find the general manager, and the general manager finds the head coach. The reason why is it's been asked backwards like this is because they never had a football man in the building.
Right.
It's Ernie Accorsi. It's Bill Polian. Help me, Bill. Who should we hire? That bullshit like that. No, find a football man to be able to get a head coach he's comfortable with. Nobody else in the league does it that way.
You know, I was reading some stuff online, and someone made a great point of the McCaskey family or the Hallis family. None of the kids or grandkids have tried to learn the business. They go into like a ticket office or some other meaningless job to get a paycheck, but they haven't tried to learn the football business to be able to. So they don't need to go out and like hire an Ernie Accorsi or a Bill Polian, so he can tell us Lamar Jackson is a wide receiver or something along those lines. They don't care about the team. It's not like they're getting paid now. They're waiting for Mama Bear to die to collect the check.
That's not true. They care about the bottom line.
Yes.
And they're very disappointed that their 99 to 100-year-old mother has not seen a Super Bowl since '85. But here's the thing about the McCaskies, though. I'm glad they don't know anything about football. It's not like Stephen Jones with his dad learning the business, like the business of the football business.
Right.
Because the bottom line, for the McCaskies is you have George that is firmly entrenched with the fans. As a matter of fact, there's a picture out there of George standing with the fans as the game went to zeros and the Bears lost. He's talking to the fans all the time. Like, he's got his Letterman jacket on, and he's just kind of the same guy he was from the ticket office. Everybody having a good time. He'll walk through all of the, the tailgates and talk to people. Even when the Bears are bad, like they are now, he'll still talk to them. But you love that PR, right? The grassroots effort of talking to people. That's cool. But there's other McCaskies in there that also know the business of the football business as far as the financial side. But could you imagine one of these McCaskies like Michael back in the day giving you he was making decisions of getting rid of those 85 Bears like in the early 90s.
He was an idiot, though. Like, he wasn't a football guy.
Of course. So
he wasn't a football guy.
But that's why understand where the Bears were, Wiley, because they were mom and pop, right?
Yeah.
Because Ted Phillips was making football decisions. He's a financial guy. There's no way he should be in the room to be able to have a head coach. That makes no sense, right? But this is the same organization for years before you were born. They did not have a GM in place. Pro personnel guy, Rod Graves. But then Jerry Angelo came in and he became a GM and was like, wow, there's a general manager with the Bears. I mean, before that, Vanisi with the 85 Bears, but there was a long gap where the Bears didn't even have like a general manager in name. Think about that.
Yeah.
And so this is why I'm glad that Warren's there and Poles is there, because it feels like they're trying to get this thing turned. it's just not working right now. And this is what the growing pains are of rebuilding. For those that thought 3 wins to 10 wins or 11 wins, that don't happen. Those are the same people that they go to the ballot box and they go, I'm going to vote for a new alderman or a new governor or a new mayor. And that person wins, and they look out their window and they go, wait, that pothole that's been there for 10 years is still there. I voted my old alderman out. What happened? Because change takes a while. Change takes a while. I know that Bears fans don't want to hear that, but it's true. This whole thing with the Lions, a perfect example, right? The Lions, they sucked for a long time to even get here. You know how arduous that was to go through the Matt Millen regime? I'm going to draft a wide receiver. I'm going to draft another wide receiver. I'm going to draft another wide receiver. Right? It's just like, and then just like terrible. Like Jim Caldwell, we don't like him around here.
Not good enough.
Team out.
Yeah,
those are the decisions that they made.
Yeah.
So for them to get to this point, a long, long line of years of not doing it right. Same thing with the Bears. They're trying to get this turned, but it's not going to happen overnight. It just won't.
They need a Coach Prime.
No,
I mean I'm joking, but
that's no.
I'm joking, but yeah, they do. They need something that's going to. They need to hit on these draft picks, and I know that's too much pressure to put on one GM because like draft picks don't hit at a high rate, but the Bears can't afford not to do that next season. Like their 2 first-round picks, they have to be studs, not just good players, but like absolute studs, because if not, you're going to be in lion tail for a while.
It's really disappointing that the Bears continue to be the freshmen, and like teams like Kansas City and others are the varsity. Like it's like I tell Bears fans all the time, watch something else. Watch the best of the NFL, and you're like, why are these teams so physical? Why are these teams so fast? Well, watch the Eagles. Okay, watch how physical Washington will be. Ron Rivera's got a chip on his shoulder because he didn't get a chance to get the the head coaching job. He was in the film room cutting tape for Lovey. You think he's gonna be pissed off going in there after losing against the Eagles? Washington will come in with a chip on their shoulder for sure. For sure. So that's who they are.
What's the score on Thursday?
Let me switch gears here and talk about the Bulls just briefly because it was media day all over the place. And by the way, I'll be on NBA radio on Wednesday from 3 to 6 Central Time, filling in for Justin Termini. So I'll be talking about the NBA on SiriusXM NBA radio. So if you have SiriusXM, look for me in the afternoon, 3 to 6. So just very briefly, watch it. It's amazing. 90 miles north, Cuzzo. The Milwaukee Bucks continues to add on, right? Dame Lillard is there. Drew Holiday is there now. And it's amazing when a superstar speaks. Like even Giannis, right? Giannis says, I think I'm going to be here for a while, but I don't know. They need to supply me with more talent. Oh, more talent you need? You need more talent? We'll take care of it. And look what they did. Dame Lillard, who doesn't want to be in Milwaukee, but he's there now. That's going to be a great 1-2 punch along with Chris Middleton. And then adding Drew Holiday to the team too. He's on the team too, is he not? Drew Holiday?
No, he went to he was traded for Dame. So he's in Portland now, but he's probably he just got traded to Boston. He landed in
Boston. That's right. Drew Holiday goes to Boston. That's right.
Yeah.
So I guess my point of bringing up Holiday is that it seems like a 2-horse race between Boston and Milwaukee now.
Yes.
That's what it's happened. But it's an arms race, right? I look forward to the season because ultimately my overarching point is, how is it that 90 miles north, Milwaukee? I don't mind Milwaukee. You know, we've kicked it to Milwaukee. It's fine, but Chicago, this world-class city, cannot be able to swing a deal to make the team better. They'd rather just stay the course as is and think that you're going to be good. The Bulls, and I haven't even looked through the whole league yet, but it smells like, again, 7th, 8th, or play-in for the Bulls again.
Definitely play-in.
East.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not sure how you get out of basketball hell without a superstar player, though. Right now, the Bulls don't have a superstar player. They have couple all-stars,
Mhm.
and really borderline all-stars, but you need a superstar to be able to compete in the league. And if you can't draft one because you traded your draft picks, you have to find a way to acquire one. Obviously, free agency is difficult because you don't have any cap space. I thought last year was a great opportunity to package Levine and try to acquire you a superstar player or possibly an early draft pick. And we saw AK stay pat. We're going to run it back. It worked. It worked in 2020 because you had ball healthy. It doesn't work without that point guard, and you still haven't replaced him. You haven't replaced him, and you have aging all-stars now. And one who just signed the max deal, and he still has a knee issue. So I think we're going to be stuck in this spot right where we are for the next few years at the very least. Because they won't suck enough to get a great draft pick. So what do?
You are what you are.
Yes.
Because the talent hasn't changed. So you add Javon Carter at lead guard, fine. Having Torrey Craig on the team as a backup forward to Patrick Williams is fine, but it doesn't take away from the fact that your core pieces are the same.
What is Patrick Williams? Do we know what he is yet?
I'm not. No, not yet. He still has to blossom. First of all, stay healthy, and two, just be more aggressive. Like I don't like sometimes when Patrick Williams last year was the sixth option with 5 players on the floor. Like don't hide in the corner.
Yes.
Don't just like be aggressive. Go be a rim runner. Go to the basket. Get tip dunks. Get layups. Get involved.
Grab rebound.
Just rebound. Get rebound putback. Rebound whatever it is. Second chance opportunities. Like I don't like when some of the Bulls last year was like, oh, let's let DeMar cook. I'm gonna sit back and just watch the show. No, you have to crash the boards. You can't just sit back or Zach, man, he's pissed off. He's going, well, let's just lean back and just watch Zach cook. No, man, no. Like the Bulls, and I'll say this a lot this upcoming season, they're a try-hard team. It's got to be max effort or nothing. Because there is no in between. There's no, they weren't very good tonight, but they still won the ball game. Maybe against lesser teams, but that's a max effort team. And I don't like that. I want easy baskets. I want stars. I want guys hanging off the rim. I want teams beating the other team's ass. But for the Bulls, everything's max effort unless Zach just goes off, and it doesn't happen all the time. So that's what troubles me this upcoming season.
Can Billy Donovan get DeRozan and Levine to coexist, to play together?
Yep, and that ain't enough. No. Your point is, your question is well taken. Like that was the problem last year, especially early. How do you get a dude that's just about mid range and another dude that's about 2 threes, right?
Right.
This foul line extended jumper, which is fine. 2s are fine. Durant's a master of it. The Durant is like one of the kings of the mid range, but when you have a fast break off a miss, DeRozan, you have an opportunity to shoot that 3, and he's like, he just won't. Yeah. But Zach will. So it's like 2 different styles out there, right? That's the thing that's so strange about those two being on the floor together. It's like, DeMar, those 2s go in more than Zach's 3 sometimes. But it's a 3-point league, though. That's the point.
But I think if you look at the team sees DeMar as the alpha. But Levine gets paid as the alpha, so he wants to be the alpha. He kind of wants, like, hey, I was doing this before you arrived. This is my team. Even though before Ball got injured, DeRozan carried that team. He was the reason why they were the first seed in the league, number 1 team in the league up until the injury. And then after that, Levine's like, hey, you know what? I'll let you cook. But it's my team. And I think he still has, even with the money in his pocket, he still views it as disrespect that he isn't the man, but the team sees DeRozan as the man. So you got to go with what the team sees, but Billy Donovan hasn't been able to figure out, okay, you know what? Yes, Levine, you're getting paid as a superstar. You are our all star, or hopefully our future superstar, which will probably never happen. But DeRozan plays this key role for us. Let him do this, and you fill in the other areas because you're definitely more athletic. You know, you're better from deep. So you fill in these other areas. When the game's on the line, we're going to give the balls to Mark and be okay with that.
Well, there's Vucevic too because you had to sign Vucevic. You had to bring him back, and it's fine. But here's the thing about the Bulls. There's nothing that in your analysis or mine that says, oh, it's a terrible basketball team.
No,
Because they're not. They're a good basketball team. But the thing is that
it's basketball L though.
yeah, I mean, but you're going to be in that hell when Boston and Milwaukee are there. The Sixers, James Harden has not checked in. He was not there for a media day. That's a mess. And is and Philadelphia's talented. There's no doubt. It's just like that's kind of messy. Cleveland got a hell of a lot better last year with 51 wins. It's amazing when you make a deal, right? You make a couple of deals, and all of a sudden you're the fourth seed. Miami will be fine. Brooklyn will be fine. Knicks will be somewhat better. Hawks are good. And then you get to that bottom tier of like, or the middle tier of like Bulls, Raptors, who comes out of the basement. Pacers better, Wizards better.
Right.
We gotta look into that. But point is that the Bulls should not be just trying to just tread water, trying to get into the play-in. Like, that their talent is good, but not great. Because there's, as you mentioned, there's no superstar. They just have good players. And good players is fine if you just want to turn the lights on for a series at the United Center. But if you're trying to like get with the big boys, like Boston and Milwaukee and Cleveland and Philadelphia, they're just not in that stratosphere.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I'll still watch. I'll still, hope that maybe Patrick Williams becomes the Claw all of a sudden because we were sold that he would become the new Kawhi Leonard. He's a great defensive player. He's going to develop the offensive game, and he's going to be that guy. And I still see a kid who's just passive, and at times seems like you said he wants to hide in the corner. He's just interested in playing. It's like, hey, I'm out here, but you guys do what you're doing. So yeah, it's frustrating as a fan. It's sort of like you talked about last week. Like, when is that next winner coming from? And it's hard to see it. It really is.
It's tough. We're about to wrap up here. If you have a question or a comment, we will take your questions on YouTube, youtube.com. Look for J Hood Radio. Subscribe. I tell you what, because it's not because of me, it's Wiley. Thank you so much for subscribing to the YouTube. The handsome Wiley and Rocky the dog has really helped out the subscribers for youtube.com, J Hood Radio. So we appreciate that. Let's see what we have here. Okay, we got a lot here. Dorinda says, I hate to say it, but it's going to get worse before it gets better. It is what it is. Dorinda Thurman checking in, talking about the Bears. Your comments, sir.
Yeah. I think it's definitely going to get worse. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears didn't win more games than they won last year. So, it's rough.
Eric Collins, P1, says that, he says, I swear to God, when they showed polls in the skybox in the fourth quarter, imagine him thinking that he's fired tonight. Yeah, man. I mean, he actually smiled and was pointing at somebody else in the box early, and that smile just went away in the fourth quarter. Smile went away. So, right, the GM first, he agrees with us. Like, yeah, so, right, the GM first, then his head coach. He wants to hire, and that's the standard operating procedure. Yeah, absolutely. That's how you do it. It's the GM hires the head coach. You don't go to Bill Polian, who's washed, and Ernie Accorsi to ask. But again, when the Bears don't have a football guy in the building, that's what they did. They farmed out and got someone to help the process. And it's just like, you can't do that today in 2023. You need football people in the building. A year later, how did the Bears defend Roland the Roquan Smith trade? Well, what we're told is Roquan Smith didn't fit the defense.
Yeah.
Like Akeem Hicks didn't fit the defense, correct?
Yes. Saint Omni.
You were losing with him. I'm just saying, like they said, oh well, you can't win with these guys, so we're gonna get rid of them. And your defense, yeah, bad. Boy. Terry's Peep says, I feel like Cousin Wiley is talking to me from the fifth dimension. Is there echo on your end? I don't even know.
Not down.
Yeah, you might be calling from you might be the fifth dimension. I don't know. Yeah, so those are among the comments, and keep those comments coming. By the way, for the Under the Hood podcast. And now we bring in Rocky the dog to close us out. Rocky.
There we go.
Rocky the dog is in, and again, just wild and just
sit.
Wiley has no control over his own dog. I mean,
sit. Look right here.
I see these dog parks all the time. Sit. I mean, immediately sitting. But Wiley's dog all over the place. Now you're out of frame. Now you're not even in frame. Look at that. It's unbelievable. I mean, he's got no control of his own dog.
No.
Rocky, welcome to the podcast. Rocky, your thoughts. Should Ryan Poles be fired tonight? No? Okay. Rocky, your overall thoughts on the Bears being 0-4. Go ahead. Yeah, he doesn't like it either. He shakes his head no. Okay, well. He's biting your hand. Are you all right, then? Is that okay? Oh, my God. Oh, jeez. What? Let's not show that to the people, please. Oh, my God. This is why crazy Cousin Wiley exists. Now look at that. Now it's knocking the computer over. It's unbelievable. Also, Wiley's very good with snakes. I've seen this as well. Like a snake around his shoulder.
Snake.
Why was there a picture on social? Cause with a snake. Where did you?
Oh, I was on Hollywood Boulevard, and some guy had a snake, and I was like, "Can I hold your snake?" And he said, "Yeah." And that was really it.
It's an odd question to ask him another man, by the way.
It is, but you're in LA, so it's one of those things you can do. All right.
Thank you, Rocky. Rocky the dog has weighed in now. His thoughts on the Bears. Well, we want you to know that you can catch this podcast. You can follow along on Spotify or Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Look for Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Hit that subscribe button. The same thing with YouTube as well. YouTube.com. Look for J Hood Radio, and you can be able to subscribe to this on YouTube. Beautiful dog, just not a lot of answers from Rocky. So for Cuzzo Wiley, this is J Hood. Thanks for supporting the podcast and on YouTube. And don't forget Captain J Hood, weekday morning 7 to 10 a.m. Central Time on ESPN 1000. Download the ESPN Chicago app. You want your Chicago sports and everything else in between? We got it for you on the ESPN Chicago app. So, Cuzzo and I will talk to you next week. So long, everybody. So long, Rocky. Rocky? He's got nothing for you.
Yeah, it's nothing. That's it.
So long, everybody. Unbelievable.